Okay, I've got Jeremy Cioara here. You may remember him, but also you may not. This guy is the reason I'm here, and I wanted to make a video of kind of how we met and a little bit of your origin story, because I've heard it before. It's been a while, but it's very fascinating, and I think it's going to be very fun for people to rediscover you. You are one of the most talented instructors and trainers I've ever seen, and if you've seen my videos, you'll notice I pick up a lot of traits I have are from him. So let's break down who Jeremy Cioara is. First of all, Jeremy, tell me how you got here. Let's go way back to like your first discovery of Cisco.
Yeah, it's a good question. So it's hard to talk about Cisco and how I discovered Cisco without getting into how I stepped into the world of technology. A lot of people want to know that is, how do I get started? And it all began. I was going to Arizona State University, computer science degree. Thought I want nothing to do with any kind of technology ever, because I hated computer programming so much that it was just like it was making my eyes bleed to do it. And so I picked up a part-time job building computers. It was on assembly line. This is before there was a Dell. This is back in the day. And I was on that, and I was just like, man, this must be all there is to life. What am I going to do? And then they put me in a certification class. It was a mistake. I wasn't actually supposed to go. I showed up, and they're like, oh, you're supposed to be in that room over there. I'm like, all right. And so I headed over there. Stepped into, this was a Windows NT class to give of like, hey, this is Windows NT server, how you're
going to have to explain what that is.
Right. This is, okay, so this is back when Microsoft ruled the world. And so anyway, I was blown away. I was like, this stuff is awesome, and it's actually applicable, and it makes sense. But they quickly found out that I was not supposed to be in the class. They cut my future training because they were like, you should have told us. I was like, I didn't know. So long story short, I ended up at that point starting to fund my own training, and I saw the people teaching these classes, and I was like, that would be awesome. The funny thing is, I had no experience training whatsoever, and so I went to the manager of the training center. I was like, what do you need to do this? And he was like, oh, you can sign up for our such and such course, and we can make you an instructor. And I was like, all right. And so I went for it, and long story short, found I had a knack for teaching, and that led me into the world of certification training. So then how did I cross into Cisco?
Yes.
At that point, I started doing Microsoft. I was doing Novell. Again, this is back in the day.
Yeah.
And I went to this company who was doing this thing called online education. This is before anybody else. This is before YouTube even existed. I know. And I said, if I'm going to do this, I want to step into the world of Cisco. That seems really interesting to me. And so as I hired on at a company called KnowledgeNet, which has been acquired 50 different times since then, that was where I stepped in the Cisco world, went all the way with the certifications, got my CCIE, and about 2 years into that was where I crossed the line of CBT Nuggets, who was like, we would love for you to just create training however you want.
So I didn't know that you got your CCIE before you went to CBT. That's interesting. So through KnowledgeNet, you just went through that entire process.
Yep.
Okay, keep going.
Yep.
Keep going.
It was great. And so CBT, the great thing about their initial approach was there was no holds bar. They were like, teach whatever you want, whatever style. Just make sure that they had one rule, and it's you cannot use PowerPoint slides. And so that was where I was like, well, if I can't use PowerPoint, I need a whiteboard. And that was where the style was born that so many people learned to know and love, which is just like, there's a pen, there's lines, and okay, this is connected to this, and it would build as we would go. And
now,
so,
I'm curious, is that your invention, or they just said you can't use PowerPoint, figure it out?
It was can't use PowerPoint, figure it out.
Wow.
Now that said, they provided a drawing pad and everything like that, so that was like, okay, I can do something with this. And that was where that visual style really started growing on me, to the point where I can't even teach something without having that anymore, to where when I'm talking to someone, I'm like, do you have a whiteboard around
like
here?
He's struggling to talk right now.
I know.
Without the
like,
whiteboard.
I would love to draw a little timeline, a little journey, and then I met Chuck right there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you got to CBT Nuggets, and at that point you were already the Cisco, or you were doing Cisco, but were you known as the Cisco guy at that point?
Yes, no. I was doing Cisco, but it had yet to really reach the world. When I started doing it for CBT Nuggets, it was such a unique style and brought such a unique energy that it somewhat went viral, and people were pirating the stuff all over the world.
I will be one of the people to admit I pirated your training. I'm sorry.
Totally. Yep.
Now, give us a timeline. Like, what years were these happening?
We're talking like 2003, 2004. Believe it or not, when I stepped into Cisco, or when I stepped into CBT Nuggets, the first training I did was not Cisco. It was Microsoft ISA server. That was the first.
Oh my gosh! What
book.
even is that?
It's a firewall. if that tells you a lot. It was the first book I had ever written was on Microsoft ISA server, and CBT was like, that guy wrote the book. We should do a training there. I did it. It went nowhere because the product went nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, Microsoft should not be making firewalls. And so at that point they were like, well, what else can he do? And that's where I was like, I would love to do some Cisco. That's where it really took off. That's where it started there.
And the Cisco, like, their certifications was still fairly new. Like, I think they came out with the CCNA in 1998. Mm-hmm. So you hit it right when it was getting some traction.
Yep.
So CBT, for me, I guess I'll jump into my story a little bit. I know Jeremy from CBT Nuggets. Mm-hmm. I watched everything you made pretty much from CCNA. I probably jumped into collaboration because you made collaboration stuff. I'm like, oh, he has CCNA voice. I'm going to jump into that. So CBT Nuggets was always the gold standard for certification because you were there.
No.
The other trainers were, once I got there, I'm like, oh, Keith Barker's amazing and Anthony Sequeira. But like, you were the reason. Why? After you've seen everything happen, why do you think you became the CCNA guy? Why do you think your training just kind of took off the way it did?
I think at the end of the day, the reason CCNA became so awesome and became so viral, I guess you could say, in the world of CBT, is because I thought it was cool. At the end of the day, when you're teaching something, you can tell when somebody really loves what they're talking about.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if it's CCNA or it's a new iPhone or it's this is the best cup of coffee ever. It's not, because it's not NetworkChuck coffee.
Amen.
But at the same time, like, you can tell when somebody just is like, this is great. And I think that's the captivating force of the CCNA is when I'm teaching it, I'm like, this stuff is awesome. Like, did you see what just happened there? It's coming across that way because I'm tickled that it just happened that way. I'm like, I didn't see that coming, but or I think it was funny as I've been meeting people here at Cisco Live. I've already had 3 people come up and be like, the Legos were brilliant. And I was
really?
like my kids during when I was teaching one of these came and they brought their little Lego guys and stuck them all over and they had a little battle. And it was funny. My wife came. She's like, "Kids, clean it up." I was like, "No. Actually, just leave it there." I was like, "I love that." And so throughout the rest of the series, it became like every scene I would move these little Lego guys. One stabbing port 53 or 53. There's not 53 port, but one stabbing a port. It just became fun, and that's what connected, I think, with most people. Is I'm having a great time. You want to come with me? And we're all having a great time together. Like, that's what I think caused it.
I'm not sure if the CCNA would have taken off and be where it's at if it hadn't been for your training. I don't know, like, if it just took off on its own, but I feel like when I looked up CCNA training, because I had to get it, you were the person that came up, and you were the reason I'm like, oh, I'm addicted. I'm done. Like, I love this so much. I don't think anybody could have made me excited like you did. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you think the CCNA would be where it's at if it wasn't for you?
That's a hard statement because it feels like I'd be tiptoeing and be like, the CCNA is what it is because of me. I'm not sure that I could make that statement.
I know. I'm asking you to be kind of grandiose, but also, like, you inspired me to start making my CCNA content, and we're both here at Cisco Live. People are like, you made all this stuff come alive. Both of us did. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for you.
And I think that's. You're experiencing it just like I am. As I'm walking here, this is the first time I've been at Cisco Live in 8 years,
It's been
maybe
a long
more.
time. Yeah.
And just as I'm connecting with people, what's amazing is they're the ones with all the flags down their chest, CCIE, 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 and I've had it's almost rote. That's the opening statement is I would have never stepped into this world if it wasn't for your training. Like that is the most humbling thing because I'm looking and I'm going, you're so far beyond me from a technical perspective
Yes.
now. And yet they're looking at me going, and I wouldn't be here with it. Like that is where it's just been like, it's almost tear jerking as you're going around and watching the lives changed through this. So
Yeah, I had the same experience this morning. A guy was like, yeah, I just got my CCIE Enterprise. Now I'm going from my data center in like 2 weeks. And I'm like, oh my, you're so far ahead of me. He's like, no, you're the rock star. I'm like, I couldn't even get my CCNP. Like, what are you talking about? You're the guy who's amazing. I love this.
Yeah.
Now, I want to talk a bit about our origin story because I would not be here at all without Jeremy. And we're actually going to be doing something fun together very soon. We're currently doing it. We just haven't announced it officially yet. But I don't think we've talked about this in a long time. I started making YouTube content around the CCNA because I was so inspired by what you did, and I wanted to pass it along. I was not good at that time, but then I get a DM from you on Twitter. Walk me through how you found me. Do you remember?
That's a great question because I'm not even entirely sure how, but I came across a video from you, and I go, this guy's got something. Like you had something where I was watching the video, and I realized I'm like, I want to watch this video. Like usually when you're watching YouTube content, you're like, okay, skip, okay, I got it. But it wasn't that the topic that you were talking about. It was you yourself. I'm like, there's something about this guy I want to keep watching. And that's when I was like, okay, who is this? And Twitter, before it was X, and still to this day, is the great meeting place of everybody. I was like, okay, if he's doing this, and I think you either had your tag or something, and so that's what I was like, I gotta reach out to this guy and see who he is.
Okay. And I think that's something you and I definitely share. And we can be transparent about this. Like we share the same faith. We are Christians. We are powered by the Holy Spirit and everything we do, including our instruction. So like when I watched Jeremy, he never talked about his faith on CBT Nuggets, but I knew he was a Christian. Like I knew it. I just knew. And then I guess you saw the same thing in me.
Yeah.
And then when you sent that DM, I lost my mind. I was showing my wife, Abby, who you guys have seen on the channel. I'm like, you will not believe who just sent me a DM. And I had to verify it was you. Because you don't understand. Like, I had a buddy who came up with me on our networking team. And we were both just massive fanboys of you. We would watch your training. We compete together to try and see who could get our CCNP the fastest. He won. And but we both we joked about just how great you were. So when you sent me that DM, I'm like, this is insane. And you asked me to jump on a call. So we jumped on that call. I was so nervous. And the feeling of, I almost didn't respond to you because I was so used to passively listening to you. I'm like, yeah, this is Jeremy Cioara. I'll have to respond. Okay, let me say something back. And that call, you told me what you said. Like, you saw something in me and you asked me if I could, you asked me if I thought about making content for CBT Nuggets.
Yeah.
Why in the world did you ask that? Because I watched my YouTube videos. They were not good. and I was just like a regular network engineer at that time.
Yeah.
Why did you ask that?
Well, and that's where I come back to what I saw in you is what drew me there. And that's when I saw, like, you either have the gift or you don't, in terms of being able to explain things and explain it from here instead of here.
That's good.
There's you can feel it, and that's why I go back to the beginning of this. Is when you are genuinely loving what you're doing, it comes across, and there's no way to explain how to do that. That's what I saw in you, and that's where I said it would be awesome to have you at CBT. When I see that spark, that inner way of communicating, I'm like, it's going to be good. I think I could think of nothing else. That's why.
Okay. And that's what I see in both you and Keith. Like when I met you guys like face to face, and we'll get to there in a minute. I was just so, you are who you are on video. And like you just see that, the way you express yourself, the way you treat people around you, just the way everything you say is just filled with that care, the passion. And it's so strange. Like, and you're like that with everyone you meet, with everything you say. So let's move beyond CBT, or move beyond that first initial call. I remember you said, "Come on, Chuck, let's do CBT Nuggets," and my initial thought was, "Heck no, I'm terrified." Because there's no way, like, you are amazing. I'm just making a few YouTube videos about the CCNA. I wasn't teaching any kind of networking topic. But I'm like, this has got to be God. There's no other way like you would have found me. It's got to be God. So I just jumped on and talked. I think it was Asher at the time. And I know it's a long time ago.
That was.
And I submitted a video. And it's one of the videos that's actually live on my channel right now. It's the VLAN video. And it was just so bad. It was so bad. I can't believe they said yes. And then from there, I just became a CBT Nuggets employee, which is insane. And then, so let's keep going with your origin story. So I think at that time, CBT Nuggets was all screen recording. There was no cameras at all.
Yep.
So at that point, I don't think people really like knew your face.
Yep.
It was all voice. So like when people heard your voice, like, oh, that's Jeremy Cioara's voice. You would have a few like pictures online, or maybe like a Trainer Palooza they would have, and they would like do some videos.
Yep.
Up until that point, that wasn't happening. And I think, was I the one that brought video to CBT?
It was either you or I. I know video was strictly forbidden because back then there was the bandwidth concerns. It was too much bandwidth. And I finally was like, I've got it. Initially, I was just showing some network equipment of like, this is, you need to be able to see how this connects, how this plugs in, et cetera, et cetera. And I would do videos like that. I don't know whether it was you or I that was finally like, forget it. I'm doing full face video, and we're going to talk to the camera and do that kind of thing. One or both of us got it going. And at that point, everybody was like, all right, we're doing video too. So
Yeah. And I think at that point, I mean, no one was really doing video for technical content. It was like, churn it out, we're going to draw it up, and like, that's it. So I think I was on YouTube doing video, and I think it was either me or you. I forget who it was, but maybe it was both of us. Just kind of catalyzing, like, hey, we need video. Everyone's kind of doing it on YouTube. Why couldn't we do it here? It brings another. It's what made CBT so good. It wasn't about the technology. It was about the people presenting the technology, and the technology was just a byproduct. Because I felt like I knew you before I even knew you. I still remember stories you told in the CCNA voice, and it's so nuts. And I don't remember what you taught. I do remember the stories, though, and that's so weird. So moving beyond that, so we're working together at CBT Nuggets. I ended up leaving CBT because YouTube was taking off, but you stayed on for a minute. But then what happened?
So you left CBT to pursue your YouTube world. At the same time, I was already starting to build a company. One of those weird things are lining up, and I was brought in to help fix a school network system, and they, in short, were like, hey, can you keep doing this? And long story short, that was the beginning of what is now known as VIA. It used to be called School Desk, but we changed the name because everybody thought we sold school desks. So it became VIA. And we were an MSP before that was a normal thing. Like we didn't even know what to call ourselves. We're just like, hey, we do IT for organizations. So instead of hiring all of that expertise in-house, they can bring us alongside to either supplement or be their IT team. And we didn't know to call it an MSP back then. And so that started growing for me. As that really got wings, I went from full-time CBT Nuggets to contract CBT Nuggets, and eventually reached a point where I was like, I just can't do it all anymore. Building a company, it's a thing. And so VIA got to, it's still running. It's about 50 people right now.
That's amazing. I
come in about 1 or 2 days a week, and I'm like, hey, everybody, and we all talk about some cool new deployment that we're doing. And off I went there. So now, as I left to do a company, you continue to grow YouTube.
Yeah, so I don't, you glossed over so many good things though. We're skipping some good stuff. I remember Actually, first, what is the reason you wanted to have a company like that?
That's a great question. My life has been a series of open doors where I look and I go, oh, that would be really cool. I've never done that before. Let's walk through. Usually my wife is there in the background as a litmus being like, that's going to be a cliff. This one, she didn't. She actually jumped in to help out. She was the original accountant before I started having all these children. But initially I stepped into that, never intending it to really be a company. It was initially just helping a school. And I thought, honestly, this is going to make some great videos someday. I'm going to explain how we fixed this network and got this school system going and all that. And it just was one of those things that continued to grow. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have a company. And so I'd love to have a very inspirational, like I had a moment on the beach and it hit me, but it was more of just like, I took one step after another and there it was.
And that's kind of how it's been for most of your stuff. Like just God opening that door, you stepping through, and it just kind of builds.
Yeah.
So you were doing part-time for CBT. VIA was becoming more of a thing. Now, at this point, you are going in once a week. I know that. But that wasn't easy to do to get to that point. So when did you leave CBT? And I remember there was a time where VIA kind of became all-consuming.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, once I went contract with CBT, and now it was like, okay, just produce videos in your spare time. And I started realizing spare time was not happening anymore. That's one of the things that I never knew going into building a company. And this would probably help a lot of people that are like, I want to start an MSP. Oh my word. It's a completely different mind to work at an MSP versus run an MSP. To be an entrepreneur, you have to leave the technical side of yourself behind. You have to move into more of I'm building a business, I'm putting the right people in the right roles that can do far better things than I ever could. So when it first started, it was just me. And as more customers started coming, I found myself stretched, and you end up in that place of crisis where it's like, I need to hire somebody. This company isn't making enough to hire somebody, but I have to, or I'm going to die. So I'm just going to hire the best person I can afford, which isn't very good because you can only afford, like, I don't want to say very little, but very little. And so that was where it became real. Once I now had people working for me, ironically, it sounds funny, but I couldn't just be like, I'm going to stop doing this. Like, if I would have just kept at it on my own, I probably would have resigned that role in that company at least 50 times.
Yeah, because making training videos is infinitely easier than running a company.
Yes, so much so. And so it was just knowing the fact that if I stop this, all these people that are now dependent on this company for their day-to-day income, they're all out of work too. That was what kept me going. And yes, that was 60, 70-hour weeks. Just, that school is down, and trying to be the network expert / system expert / manager / everything became, the first few years of it was a nightmare.
Yikes.
And so yeah, it got to a place, there was these faint silver linings of hope. God would send the right person at the right time to be like, oh, well, let me help with this. And it was just one of those like, oh, okay, well, maybe we can do this. Okay. All the time with a wife going, why don't you just go back to making videos, right? Because she had a much more work-life balance back then as well.
Yes.
And so that was what led to, it was never about the money. It was all about what am I learning through this? And I would always think this is going to make some great stories someday. So. And
it has. And I remember, people may not know this, but Jeremy was very much my mentor. Not really, just I viewed you as my mentor coming up. But we stayed in contact after leaving CBT Nuggets, and I texted you and said, hey, at this time I was starting a business. I was running this YouTube channel, and I was just overwhelmed. And I'm like, hey, can you become my mentor? Like, I need some help. And you very graciously accepted. And that's kind of been our thing for like, what? It's been like 2-3 years now?
Probably more.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
It's been a while. And actually I'm skipping something. Before that, we tried to start a company together. Do you remember what it was called?
Do I remember this?
I think you do. This is IT.
Oh my goodness! Thank you for that. Yes, yes. That was where you, me, and David Bumble got together, and we were like, let's build our own training company. It has been a minute, and we started off with, I think it was Security Plus.
We looked at the landscape of certifications. We're like, which is the best one for us to start? Cybersecurity was just like really becoming mainstream. Mm-hmm. Security Plus.
Yep. And yeah, it didn't go far. We were all like, okay, let's start recording content. But David, you, me, we all had other things. So This is IT was kind of like a spare time gig.
Yes, it was.
And so we started recording, and after a few months, we're like, okay, we've got like a handful of videos.
I think you recorded most of them.
I did.
Me and David
I wasn't going to say it, but I did. I was like, all right, guys, I'm hitting my numbers. Where are you at? And David's like, oh, I'm too stressed. I can't get his English accent. I'm too stressed. And you're like, dude, I got YouTube. I can't do this. And I was like, all right, we're out. It's not going to work.
We just gave it up. And we had good intentions. And what's funny is I just got a comment the other day. Someone asked, hey, I'm still waiting on you guys to finish the Security Plus. It was yesterday. Oh, yeah, because I was sitting with David in that booth. And they took a picture of us. And they commented, still waiting.
That's funny.
It's so the internet does not forget. You guys don't forget.
The internet does not forget.
So that was like a little speed bump or a little road bump, and
that was a good Wayback Machine moment there.
Yes, it was. Yeah. So that we abandoned that. So it was after that you became my mentor, and we started talking a lot together.
Yeah.
And I think just through the course of just our conversations, meeting like weekly and bi-weekly, we started to kind of talk about maybe doing something together again, a company, because our interests were kind of aligning. I was looking at building NetworkChuck Academy. I was terrible at building NetworkChuck Academy. I was trying to balance YouTube with courses, and I couldn't do it, but I still really wanted to do it. And I would, as Jeremy is my mentor, he would just hear me out, give me advice. But then it got to a point where, actually, why did you say something about us doing something together? Do you remember what led you to say that? I know we're like way back machine here.
Yeah, I know it is. I don't remember what led me to say it, other than I was reaching a place at VIA where we were hiring people, and I was like, man, it would be great to bring these guys up with some real world training. And a lot of the guidance I was giving you, I was thinking I need to take some of my own advice. And then we have, I don't know if you remember this, but we had what I'll call the shower moment.
And in the video, lights out, we're done, leave him with that.
We're just gonna stop it there. No, so I'm one of the times I met with you, you go, I was in the shower this morning and God told me, what are you waiting for? And I'm like, what are you waiting for? What? You're like, do you want to do something together? I'm like, well, who am I to turn down the shower moment?
I don't remember this.
You don't remember this at all?
No.
It's probably best this stays on the editing floor for some day. But I was like, well, if God's telling you in the shower that we should build an academy, then sure, let's do. You don't remember this.
I mean,
that's hilarious.
I think it's coming back.
No.
And it sounds like me. Like I do get a lot of shower thoughts, and I'm not shy about telling people that. But I do remember the feeling of that catalyst that, like, I'm doing this. We've been having mentor meetings, and I think you expressed a few things to me of how you were telling me you wanted to create training for your team.
Yeah.
You were missing the training game a little bit.
Yep.
And I was just like, what the heck, Jeremy? Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's build something.
Yeah.
Because we both have a heart for this. So what made you say yes, and what made you want to come back to training after a pretty long hiatus?
Yeah, it's a great question. One is I've never found a replacement for the thrill I get when I'm creating content that matters. Like at the end of the day, and the funny thing is I know when I'm just creating content, and I know when it's like, okay, this is really important to me, and I want the whole world to understand this. And so the number one thing that drew me back is I thought, I need to take some of the experiences that I've had in the last 10 years that, like, It went by like that, but I'm like, I need to convey this to a lot of people. Likewise, I've hired hundreds of people at this point, and I've seen just again and then again, I'm like, there's so many things that I wish I could convey to these people that don't fit in the CCNA curriculum, but it's really important, and you're not going to be successful in a career if you don't know these things, or even worse, you'll end up in a job, and I'm using job purposely versus career, you'll end up in a job and you just get stuck there because you're like, I'm waiting for my moment, and I'm like, your moment is never going to come. There's some things I need you to know of how you can break through that wall of just doing the same thing again and again and again. And so as you and I were talking, and you're like, I'm having the inclination. I'll stop calling it the shower moment.
All right. I'm gonna copyright that.
There it is. I'm having that thought of we should do something together. I'm like, I would want nothing more than to recreate an academy experience that goes so far beyond just getting somebody certified. Getting certified is important.
Yes.
It gives you a badge, a mark where people can go, that guy knows his stuff. That gal knows her stuff, right? But there's so much around that I want to give people nowadays. And that's what really got me excited.
And I remember, I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't quite bought into that when you told me that. Because I brought the idea to you, like, let's partner together, and you're like, okay, cool, this is where I'm at, and you cast a bit of that vision for me, and I was like, I don't know, like, I just want to create courses, and I just want to make courses that change people's lives and leave it at that. And it took a minute for me to fully understand your vision, and then it hit me like, oh my gosh, this is absolutely something, especially now, like, we both have kids who are getting older. Yours are a bit older than mine, and I'm like, what's the world going to be for them? How can I take what I've learned about business and entrepreneurship and technology and convey that to them? So you fully convinced me that this is the path forward. Now, so just to kind of tell people where we're at, Jeremy and I just decided, yes, we're going to start a company. That company is called NetworkChuck Academy. And we called it NetworkChuck Academy and not Jeremy Cioara Academy because he left for 10 years and no one knows who he is.
That's hilarious.
But no, seriously, we chose that name because it was just, the YouTube channel has a lot of people. But now we have this thing, and Jeremy's getting back into the training game. He's creating content. Can you tell me a bit about the new course that you just made?
Sure. So what I did this time around is I created CCNA again. But this time I said, we're going to take a real world slant on everything that we're doing in this course. So what I did is I said, rather than saying, okay, here's the OSI model, here's what a network is, here's how packets are formed and how they communicate, the traditional way that you first get people in there, I said, you know what? You've got a company. It's called Castle Rising Coffee. And you've got this coffee house and you want to give people internet access. How do you do that? Because that's how most people get into this game is, hey, we have a problem. I need to give people public Wi-Fi, but I don't want my stuff to get hacked. I want them to be able to stream videos without saturating my internet connection. And why not mix in a little end of world scenario of like this is post-apocalypse. It's the last remaining coffee house. We're going to build this thing and we move it into an enterprise fashion. So instead of just teaching CCNA, I'm now bringing in the real world slant of, look, we just need to build a network. Oh, and by the way, you're going to get your CCNA as you go through this. I hope. I say I hope because, as you go through this, you may just land a job because you're going to go and be like, oh, I can solve that problem. And suddenly, instead of looking around being like, does anyone have a job? You're going to start coming and you're going to say, I can solve problems. I can solve issues when somebody needs a network environment. And you're going to, at that point, I'm like, who cares if you get the CCNA? In one sense, I'm like, smack myself. Like, why would I ever say that? Like, of course I want you to get the CCNA, but if you land in a career, I mean, you're done. Like, now you're off to the races, and you now have that open door, and you're loving what you're doing. So that's the new course. It's CCNA, real world, all over again.
And it's like you've made the CCNA course probably how many times in your life? Because every time it renews, every year or so, or every 3 years.
Yeah, I want to say this is probably, I don't know why the Matrix comes to mind when the agents were like, this is like the 8th Matrix that we've created. And so this is like, I think it's 8 or 9 times I've recorded the CCNA.
Wow.
From back, I think the first time I recorded CCNA was 2000.
Oh my goodness.
Created it, and back then that was pre-CBT Nuggets. I was at KnowledgeNet doing a co-host format. It was like a radio show with me explaining CCNA topics.
You very well might be the oldest, the longest standing CCNA creator out there.
Oh, that's
and
funny.
What I love though is that you, up until you stopped, you had the best CCNA course, hands down. And then now you have so much more experience in, I guess we can say, the real world, where you've built a company, saw the practical things that you need when hiring someone, what you look for. Like, you've gone on the other side of the desk. I have to hire someone who can do stuff. How do I find that person?
Right.
So you now are armed with not only the amazing teaching ability you have from 9 CCNA revisions, 8, however many it is, but you have the practical, real world. This is what you actually need to succeed in life,
yes,
and in the career.
And it's so far beyond just, interface gigabit 0/0, IP address, no shutdown, right? Mm-hmm. It's so far beyond that, as I've now worked with so many people who come in and they may get the technology, they may even be certified, but they have no ability to look somebody in the eye and have a conversation or let somebody know, hey, I'm going to be taking the network down tomorrow. Here's what that means. We need to get communication out. Like there's so much surrounding that. Call them the soft skills. Mm-hmm. That's what we're now injecting and into the academy itself. And that's been the fun part is now building stuff beyond the technical that will help people in ways like, I'm looking forward in 10 more years to come to a conference like this where you and I are walking and people are like, it's not just like you got me started in a career. It's more of like, like you've been used to, and that's where I'm like, to what? Like what's going to be the impact of some of this training we're creating now?
Yeah, just as you're describing that, I'm getting so excited. And just to give you guys a bit of context, Jeremy and I started talking about creating these courses together in Academy, but over time, as we prayed and put a really good team around us, ideas have started to form around what we could possibly build. Yeah. So now we are injecting, we have here's IT, learn it. And the same passion that we've learned how to develop and deploy all this training, we're doing that. But then we're also like, what do people actually need?
Yeah.
And also one thing we're answering is, what if they don't know what they want to do?
Yeah.
And so many, my kids don't know what they want to do. And in the age of AI, a lot of people are kind of aimless. Is that job going to exist in 5 years? Should I even try to learn that right now? So that's part of what our academy is attempting to do, is be that fill that gap in the middle where, okay, here's the training, but what do I do after that?
Yep.
What skills do I need to succeed? How do I actually find the job? How do I interview? How do I write that resume? How do I be a person? Because, IT people, we enjoy, at least I do, being the guy behind the computer screen, not talking to people, but reality is you got to be able to interface with people and talk, and that's just a natural part of life. So Jeremy, with our academy, I think maybe you've already kind of answered it. What's the thing you're most excited about that we're making right now?
The thing that I'm most excited is a lot of what you're just describing there in career pathing, to where as people are coming into this academy, they're coming as blank white as this table is, to where they're just like, I don't know, is this interesting to me? And I want them to go through the CCNA or A+ material, and they're starting to get a lot of the technical skills. But I guarantee you, a lot of people are going to be like, okay, I'm not so fond of doing the tech as I would be in putting together a deployment schedule of how this can roll out or productizing this. And so what we've done is defined 6 career paths that's what we're building now, is instead of just saying, hey, get your certification. Of course, that's great.
Yes.
But we're more so like, hey, here's a path into a career that has never had a path before. And you know what? You're going to be able to do it at a fraction of the cost and a fraction of the time as going after it via college. Matter of fact, college doesn't even have a degree program for this. These things like project management, product management, things that you typically only find in a business that is really beginning to scale and grow. Like, that's what really gets me excited, is going, wow, we're now going to start creating training that directly impacts careers. It's not just you got a cert.
Yes.
It's like, now you know what it really takes to do this, and we're aligning it with the giftings and how God made you to where you love doing this. That's the biggest thing that I've seen over building a company, is there's all these things that I hate doing because it sucks the life out of me.
Yeah.
But there are people that are created to do exactly those things. And the same passion I feel right now as I'm talking to all these people online is like they feel that same thing when they're documenting a network rollout, or they're project managing and making sure the right people are assigned to the right things, or they're working from home and they never see another soul for weeks and they love that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like each person is created in that specific way, and when you align a career with how they're created, man, like that's where I get excited, because now I'm like, how many more people will come alive and be doing jobs that they're passionate about? I mean, Steve Jobs, in his famous, Stanford address, is like, the world needs more people that are filled with passion, so go do that. But that's where he leaves it. And I'm like, let's show you how to do that.
That's so good. I love what you just said. I don't know if you realize what you said. Align your career with how you were created. Dude, have you said that before? Was that just now, off the dome?
I think that just happened.
We're going to remember that one.
Yeah.
AI editing note. Remember that. End of AI editing note. I do that, actually. It's actually really helpful.
I had no idea.
So what you're describing is, like, as you're telling me, like, we had a conversation about this, but I'm like getting hyped. I'm like, yes, this is it. Because I've met so many people who it's taken them a long time to get to where they want to be passion-wise. And I was at a data center tour the other day, and they were in marketing and they loved marketing, but they had been an engineer for like 7 years until they realized, oh, there's another role for me. I can jump into this. And that's when they kind of lit up. Like for me, I was an engineer for a while, network engineer. I was good at it, but also I hate network documentation. I was always like not really focused on my job. I got very bored very quickly, but I loved kind of like teaching people around me. They would always ask me to make training videos, like, here's how to use a Cisco phone. So it took me a while to figure out, oh my gosh, that's my gifting. So to be able to create those moments for people immediately, like if you're in high school, we want to help you find that out right now, and we can help you find that out. At least we're trying to.
Right.
And I think you're gonna find a career you'll love. And I'm so excited about this, and it's not just that. We're also trying to help them build a real experience too, and that's the hard thing, right? Like jobs want you to have experience, but you have to have, and this is entry level, but you have to have a job to get experience, like a whole chicken and egg situation. We're trying to help that. And Jeremy, what are some ideas we have around that? If you're okay talking about
that. Well, we're exploding the way that people traditionally find jobs. Almost everybody is like, okay, I got to create a resume, but they're fresh out of high school or they're fresh out of college, and they're like, so what goes on there? And it's like, nothing, right? And so what am I going to send? It's like, well, what are the volunteer out? Oh, well, one time I swept my neighbor's porch, right? It's like, what? And so nowadays, I don't want to say the resume is dead. The resume will always be there, but there are so many ways with social media and the internet where everybody is connected to be able to show value, like literally show value without having to have career experience. Like you can do things, and that's a lot of the training that we're going to be creating, is leading people to do things, real activities on real devices or even emulated devices, to where it's like, hey, if I can roll out a network deployment in my house, I can categorize that as like, I just wired up a blah, 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 blah. I had to schedule an outage window with my family, which I know you know is real, right? It's like, don't take down the internet again. Not right now. We're in the middle of it. I'm like, this is for education, right?
Yes.
And so like you can build work experiences and start teaching people how to publicly display those. If you think about YouTube, that's all we're doing right now is publicly displaying our experience to the world. That's what started you, right? And now you've got what, 5 million some followers that are all like
almost
almost that are all watching. Chuck just being like, I just learned this. This is awesome. Can I show it to you? Right? You don't have to be a video star to do that. You can write it up. You can, like, do some volunteer efforts at a local church, or even walk into a coffee shop, their favorite coffee shop, and you're like, hey, I noticed you don't have internet access here. I'd love to do this for you for free, right? It's just something that I would love to gain some experience, et cetera, et cetera. There's a ton of ways, and that's a lot of what we're going to be building into this, is not just a way to align your giftings and saving them years of, this is not what I want to do.
Yes.
But also, let's now partner it with the experience so that you can bring a resume with content on it that's real to your first job.
Whew. Yeah,
cool.
I'm so excited about this. And so NetworkChuck Academy is something that we've been building for a minute now. Like we've been making courses. You've been making more than I have.
As usual.
As usual. Nothing's changed here. But except I'll finish it. This time I'll finish it. I promise.
Good.
But it's something that I cannot believe that someone who I looked up to for so long, who taught me everything I know, is now a partner with me, helping me create content. That is so surreal for me.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited that I feel like I'm responsible for getting you out of retirement. I'm gonna claim that. So I'm bringing Jeremy Cioara out of retirement as an instructor.
Training retirement. Yes.
And it's gonna be exciting to see. I feel like it has been a while since you've been out in the open, and a lot of the younger generation hasn't experienced your training. They've gotten Jeremy Cioara light from me because I think you're way better than me. So I'm excited to introduce your style of training to people. It's going to be very fun. Now, real quick, I do want to pivot to some other content, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Cisco Live. How many Cisco Lives have you been to?
I went to my first Cisco Live in 2001. It was called Cisco Networkers back then. It wasn't even called Cisco Live. I remember I was about to reach my 11th one because they were like, oh, you get I think it's a NetVet flag or something like that. And it was, so that was, I think, 8 years ago when I stopped that. So then built a company. This is my first one back. So call this number 11 or 12. I don't know exactly
Oh my gosh.
which one it is.
Now, how was your first Cisco Live compared to this one? What was the difference? Was it the same kind of energy and I guess bigness, or was it much more small scale and more intimate?
The funny thing is, it's almost exactly the same.
Wow.
I know that sounds funny, but maybe the World of Solutions is a little bigger, but it was even called World of Solutions back then. But it's just, it has the same energy, the same feel. They've done a good job Cisco has built the ultimate, like, we're all in brand, to where I still see people coming in with tattoos and I'm like, oh my gosh, to be able to build a company that can do that.
I know, that's our goal.
But that was, back in my day, we rented out Disney World in Florida once. There was a Cisco Networkers or Live back then. We took over Magic Mountain here in California. It's the same thing. It's just bigger. It feels like there's more people now than I think I've ever seen here before.
Yeah, so the last time I went was 2019. And I think that was their peak. They had 28,000 people there. That was actually here in San Diego.
Wow.
But then COVID hit, and they went all virtual.
Yeah.
They didn't come back until 2022, and I think they still have never reached that number. So I think this year is 22,000 people here.
Which
still, insane amount,
people.
especially for like a niche thing like networking.
Yeah.
And I know there's more people here than there's execs and developers now, but it's still around one idea, networking, and I love that. I love that it's been around for so long.
Yep.
Why did you keep going back to Cisco Live all those years?
A few reasons. One, I was usually a speaker, so I would do a general session about such and such. But two, I think, and it's funny, it's something that I don't think I realized until after I built a company. Relationships are so valuable. Just connecting with people. Again, when you're recording videos by yourself in your room, you kind of shape your own view of the world. But coming to Cisco Live, you start forming those connections with people that you never get, even when you're doing video calls and things like that. as you and I are walking around the floor, you get the feel where people are like, Chuck, Jeremy, and you get to connect with them, find a little of their story. And I mean, I know I've already met a few people that I'm like, man, I think you and I should link up after this and figure out where this relationship could go.
That's what I keep hearing when I ask people, like, why do you keep coming back? A lot of first timers don't know, but like, it's about the community. It's the people you meet, it's the connections you have, and you never know what's going to happen from just meeting one person. I mean, I'm here because I met this one person. Yeah. And I've never seen a community like this. Like I've kind of jumped into the cybersecurity community. I've seen a bit of the cloud community, but networking, it's unique. Yeah. It's a weird brand of people. They're not like weird, but like they're awesome. Yeah. So now this year at Cisco Live, what are you kind of expecting to get out of it? I guess kind of the same thing.
This time I'm not. This sounds almost heretical, but I'm not even interested in the technical sessions. Like as I'm walking around, I'm like, oh, that would be interesting. Oh, that'd be interesting. But I'm more so interested in just the people, the relationships. I know a lot of these vendors that I've met in the past of like these are distributors of Cisco. These are partners of Cisco. Oh, I remember you. And you start connecting up, and again, just as you form those relationships, amazing things happen. God things happen. Even you and I talking before we were coming up here, we're like, let's just go and see what doors open. And that's a lot of what happens is, just meeting the people I already have. I'm like, oh, I've already got 5 people or so that I'm like, I need to follow up with that person. Yeah. That could go a really cool direction.
Now, we're kind of running out of time, but I want to touch on one thing if you are good. Yeah. You're not famished or anything. You're not getting too tired holding this mic up.
Nope. It's okay, heavy though.
It is heavy. It is surprisingly heavy.
It is.
So now we're both Christians, and we talked about it, and we run our company based on faith values. Yeah. I'm curious though, with your training, how much of your training is, do you think, the Holy Spirit speaking through you?
That is a great question. I want to say all of it that really matters. Like I've done training, and there's times where I'm like, that is not going to do well. I just I'll say it. I'm saying the things I know I'm supposed to, but there's something that's off. What you said early on when you were watching, you're like, I know that he's not talking about Jesus, but I know he's a Christian. Somehow you just know that. Yeah. And I feel like you know that because it's just there's the literal natural fruit of the Spirit. It's not something I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to be loving, joyful, peaceful, patient. Right.
It just naturally comes out.
It just naturally exudes from you. And that's where it's just like, that's that magic touch to where if that weren't there, I'm not sure everybody would ever say, your training changed my life. And I'm just like, at the end of the day, that's where I'm like, it's not me. I know at the snap of a finger, if it weren't for the work of the Holy Spirit in my life, like it would just be dry and dead, and I'd just be let's skip past that guy. Yeah.
And I would totally agree. There are certain moments where I'm creating content, I'm like, yeah, I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't relying on the Holy Spirit. I just didn't feel right. Yep. But those moments where you're like, you press record and you watch it back, you're like, that guy's awesome. Yeah. It's fun to watch.
And you're watching yourself, right? And you're like, can I say that? Yeah. It's just like you see it even within yourself. Like, I can't stop watching me. It's awesome. Yeah.
That's so funny. Now, Jeremy and I have kind of built an audience over time based on our personalities and based on the way we teach. But what many of you may not know is that, and what we truly believe is the reason behind all of it is that it's because we're Christians, because we rely on the Holy Spirit. So if you're ever wondering, like, why is it I enjoy watching them? Yeah. I truly believe that's the reason. It's because it's God. It's everything coming through us. Yeah. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. It's like what you're saying. I mean, if you ever want to know what is the whole Christian faith about, it's literally Jesus coming and doing a great swap to where that selfish nature of like, I just want it to be about me. Everything's about me, what I can get, what I can earn, what I can grow and all that. It's like that dies. So when you're seeing like, what's the whole cross thing and Jesus dying? Like, what does that mean? That's you and that's me. Like when you put your faith in that and believe like, you know what? I can be set free from a life of living all about myself, where at the end of the day, it all comes back to me. It's like that dies on that cross. And that's why the cross is so important. And then we are raised again with the Holy Spirit, to where now it's not me saying even these words, it's the Holy Spirit speaking through me, which is why a lot of people are like, man, it's so great to hear like somebody that's humble talking about these things. And I'm like, that's because I know if it were up to me and this was all about me, it would be like, nah, like there's nothing there. Like, this is totally the work of God through me. And that's the Christian faith, is like, I can now die to living for myself and live to something so much greater. And that's where all the joy and all the excitement of life comes back. And I always say, that's how I can always tell. It's like the world is either in color or it's in black and white. And I know when I'm not walking by the Holy Spirit, it goes black and white. And it's just like, oh, what a dull life this is. And so yeah, that's what gets me super exciting.
Amen. I think that's it. That was great. And how can we top that?